Welcome back! Today's lesson is one of the most important ones in academic writing, Task 1. In this lesson, we will see how we can make comparisons between trends and numbers in graphs and tables. 2 ways will be discussed in today's lesson. First, using comparative and superlative adjectives. I know many of you are familiar with the topic, but these structures are introduced with a focus on graphs, and I'm sure you will find it useful. Next, we will see how we can use the as structure to make comparisons. This is probably the easiest part of the day. When you have a one-syllable adjective to compare 2 things, you simply add ER to it. As simple as this: larger, cheaper, longer, bigger, deeper. However, when you are comparing more than 2 things, and you are saying that one is higher or lower than all the others, you add EST, like this: largest, cheapest, longest, biggest, deepest. Did you notice the change in spelling in bigger and biggest? I'm going to leave it to you to find out why. One more thing. Don't forget the before superlatives. What if our adjective is a 2-syllable one? Many adjectives end in Y, as these: happy, easy, healthy, noisy, busy, angry, early. Also, some of the 2-syllable adjectives end in ER, LE, or OW, like these: clever, simple, gentle, narrow, shallow. These adjectives are treated like 1-syllable adjectives. Just remember that in the ones ending in Y, when adding ER or EST, Y changes to I, like this: happier, easier, healthier, noisier, busier, angrier, earlier. Also, because the ones ending in LE already have E at the end, we add R instead of ER. Cleverer, simpler, gentler, narrower, shallower. In the case of all the other 2-syllable adjectives like common, cautious, pleasant, useful, and longer adjectives like complicated, important, generous, and expensive, we add more to compare 2 things and the most to compare more than 2. More common, the most common. More cautious, the most cautious. More pleasant, the most pleasant. And so on. Some adjectives have irregular comparative and superlative forms. Let's take a look at them. Please pause the video, take a piece of paper, write down what you think is the comparative and superlative forms of these are. I'm sure you already know about good. The comparative form of bad is worse, and the superlative form is the worst, as you can see. Ill was probably the one you didn't get right. Like bad, the comparative and the superlative forms are worst and the worst. If used for place, you can say farther and the farthest. The forms further and the furthest are used for place too, but they are mostly used when the figurative meaning of far is intended. In other words, further means something like more. Consider the examples. I ran pretty far yesterday, but I ran even farther today. Versus, a spokesman declined to comment until the evidence would be studied further. And, she has been to the farthest corners of the world. Versus, his book has probably gone furthest in explaining these events. The comparative form of little, as you can see, is less, and the superlative form is the least. Both much and many have the comparative form of more and the superlative form of the most. I have a question for you. Which do you think is more common in graph description, comparative forms or superlative forms? Any guesses? Well, if your guess was superlative, you are right. You use superlatives when you are talking about the overall trend. Remember? When writing introductions, the second sentence was the overall trend, or the most outstanding feature of the graph. I'll show you 2 of the tasks we have worked on. After each one, please pause the video and study it. Notice the use of superlatives in the blue sentences. We said that in the body paragraphs, you need to decide which trends need to be mentioned. See what I told you before? Never forget to make references to actual numbers you see in the graph. This is an absolutely essential step, and you will lose marks if you don't. Naturally, as I said before, you don't include all the numbers. You simply pick the most outstanding ones. In most cases, outstanding means the highest, the lowest, or the ones that are different from the general pattern. So you need to mention the highest and the lowest numbers in the body paragraphs, and for that, you need superlatives. We sometimes need to put emphasis on comparatives or superlatives in the same way we use very with ordinary adjectives. But how can we do so? First, let's consider the modifiers that show a big difference. Far, substantially, a lot, much, considerably, and 2, 3, or more times are used to show a big difference between the 2 things compared. Consider the following graphs. Don't forget to pause and make your sentence before reading mine. Here, pause the video and compare the income in 2013 and 2007. The income in 2013 was far less than the income in 2007. In this graph, compare the popularity of BMWs in Italy and Spain. Pause it, please. BMWs are substantially more popular in Italy than in Spain. In the following graph, compare online shopping on Sundays in Paris and Tirana. Pause the video, please. People in Paris do much more online shopping than people in Tirana. Notice that when you are comparing countable items, much is replaced by many. In this one, compare people suffering from TBI due to falls and assaults. Pause it, please. Many more people suffer from traumatic brain injury through falls than as a result of assaults. Here, because people is countable, we say many more and not much more. Let's now compare the use of public transit in the 2 years. Pause it, please. In the fall of 2012, considerably more people used public transit compared to the fall of 1997. In this pie chart, make 2 sentences. First, compare the percentage of TBI between assaults and traffic accidents. Next, between falls and unknown. Pause it now. The percentage of people suffering from TBI due to traffic accidents is almost 2 times higher than assaults. Next one. About 3 times more people suffered from TBI as a result of falls compared to unknown reasons. Next, we have modifiers that show a small difference between the 2 items compared. In such cases, we can use a little or a bit, fractionally, and slightly. I'm sure you know that you should make sentences now. In the following graph, please compare exports from Japan in 2002 and 2003. Pause the video, please. In 2003, exports from Japan were a little more than in the year 2002. In this one, please compare the first 2 age groups who watched cable TV. Please pause. Only fractionally more 37 to 48-year-olds did watch cable TV compared to 18 to 36-year-olds. Here, please compare the number of articles edited in August and September 2013. Pause it now. There were slightly more articles edited in September 2013 compared to the previous month. Well done so far. Finally, we have a modifier which is not used in comparatives. The word is very. Unfortunately, it is a very common mistake. But please remember that very is not used with comparatives, and you cannot say, very more people suffered from common cold this year. Instead, you could use one of these. You can also add emphasis to superlatives. One of the modifiers you can use is by far. Can you comment on adenocarcinoma, which is a type of cancer, compared to other types? Pause the video, please. Adenocarcinoma is by far the most common type of cancer and is responsible for half of the cases. In this example, by far means that the difference between the highest and the second highest is huge. Good. Do you think we are done with comparatives? Not quite. You can make comparatives with as phrases, and I encourage you to do so, as you need to add variety to your report. You probably know that as phrases are used when two equal items are compared. For example, can you comment on the percentage people walked in 1997 and 2012? I'll pause for a few seconds. Is your sentence like this? In 2012, people walked as much as they did in 2007. Or, in 2012, people walked as little as they did in 2007. You are right either way. I prefer the second sentence, though. As easy as the phrase might seem, one might get a little confused. What you should remember is that as compares two equal parts. That is to say, when before the first as, you have a subject-verb combination, after the second as, you should have a subject-verb combination. In the second part, of course, you don't repeat the same words. Rather, you try to use pronouns and auxiliary verbs. Take a look at my sentence again. In 2012, people walked as little as they did in 2007. People walked. They did. Take a look at some more examples. Exports were as high as imports. Two nouns. I'm not as tired as I was last week. Two subject verbs. You can also use the as to talk about two things that are not equal by adding not. In comparing satellite TV and cable TV, you could say, satellite TV is not as popular as cable TV. Just as what we saw in the previous section, you can use intensifiers with as phrases. Just, nearly, almost, twice, 3 times, nowhere near, not quite, and half are some of the modifiers that can be used with the as phrases. Practice time. I will show you some graphs. You should pause the video and make sentences with the clues given. Compare these two age groups in 1999. In 1999, just as many 33 to 69-year-olds were involved in fatal crashes as people over 70 years. As you can see, just as means the two things are almost the same. Next one. In the following table, compare hate crimes in the category of sexual orientation in the years 2000 and 2004. In 2004, there were nearly as many hate crimes under sexual orientation as there were in 2007. Here, you could use almost. In 2004, there were almost as many hate crimes under sexual orientation as there were in 2007. Please comment on the number of worldwide TBI diagnoses in 2005 and 2008. In the year 2008, there were twice as many cases diagnosed with TBI as there were in 2005. Next, please compare TBI causes for unknown reasons and the ones caused by bicycles. The number of TBI cases due to unknown reasons is 3 times as much as the ones caused in bicycle accidents. Next one. Please compare exports by EU and by Japan in 2009. In 2009, exports by Japan were nowhere near as much as exports by EU. Next graph. Please comment on overall employment in Canada and US. Throughout the whole period, US employment was not quite as high as employment in Canada. And the last one. Compare the percentage of boys and girls who took the biology exam. The percentage of boys who took the biology exam was half as much as girls. Using transition words or subordinate conjunctions is yet another way in comparing and contrasting. These are some of the transition words you can use in making comparisons. Each one will be followed by an example. Please pay close attention to how these sentences are punctuated. In most cases, the transition word comes after a full sentence, and after the transition word, there is a comma. Similarly, exports from China increased during the past decade. Similarly, Japan had higher exports during the same time frame. Just as athletes go through training drills in order to be agile on the field, so do musicians practice scales so that they can perform with ease. Likewise, sales of CDs have experienced a small but steady fall over the past 12 months. Likewise, vinyl records have seen an increase in their share of the market, up to 1.7%. In a like manner, electricity consumption in the US soared in the 90s. In England, people used more electricity in a like manner during the same period. In contrast, northern regions experienced record snowfall last year. In contrast, southern regions had one of the mildest winters on record. Unlike other countries, Brazil continued to export coffee. On the contrary, sales went up during the period. On the contrary, there was less profit due to lower prices. Finally, we can use subordinate conjunctions to make comparisons. The subordinate conjunctions used here are whereas, while, and although. Consider the examples. While high levels of oil is produced in Saudi Arabia, Turkey produces none. Whereas the popularity of Netflix has been on the rise, cable TV has enjoyed constant levels of popularity. Although sales went up during the period, there was less profit due to lower prices. Well, this brings us to the end of this lesson. This video is part of the online IELTS course and belongs to Canada CEP Language School in Toronto. For more information, please visit the site or email us at info@canadacep.com. See you soon!